Assalamu alaikum students. I have created this smart ATP preparation plan beta for you for your upcoming exam, which will be tomorrow, inshallah. ATP. All right. So I would like to discuss some types of errors, some types of mistake which we can do while attempting the ATP paper. So these are the key points which are very important. If you will follow these key points, so inshallah your exam will be very easy, and this document is helpful for you, all right, for your ATP paper. So first of all, how can we define error, beta? So error is basically defined as the degree of variation of the obtained reading from the actual reading. Like for example, if I say to you that the gravity actual value is 9.8 meter per second square or 9.8 Newton per kg, all right, but if you are performing any experiment in which you are going to find the value of gravity, and if your value of gravity is not the actual or true value, you are getting some different value, or your value is deviating from the true value. Like for example, I am getting 9.9, 9.7, 9.6. Sometimes a student get 10 as well. So basically there is a error in the reading, and there are several sources of error which can cause the deviation from the actual reading. All right. So how many types of error are there? So basically there are main two types of error. One is called systematic error. All right. Number one is called systematic error, and the second one is called random error. So these are the two possible types of error which can change your experiment reading. All right. So what is systematic error, students? Like you can see in this diagram, you can see a meter rule is placed in a vertical position from the bench, and what we are doing, we are measuring the height of this object. All right. So you can see the meter rule 0 is not perfectly aligned with the bottom line of the object. So it means the value which this instrument is giving, it is 6 centimeter. But obviously students, 6 centimeter is not the actual value. All right, 6 centimeter is not the actual value. The actual value should be greater than 6 centimeter. So actual reading or actual height of this object is 6.8 centimeter. But reading we are obtaining here is 6 centimeter. So what is the error here? This type of error is called systematic error, where you will find the error or fault in the instrument. All right. If you will find the error or fault in the instrument, such type of errors are called systematic error. And I'm telling you again, students, if the examiner will ask you that how can we remove the systematic error, how can we reduce the systematic error, please don't write the answer, repeat the experiment 3 times and take the average. Don't write this answer, because systematic error can never be reduced by repeating the experiment. All right, students. I am repeating, systematic errors can never be reduced by repeating the experiment. For example, I am taking the measurement from the weight machine, and the weight machine zero is needle is not perfectly aligned with the zero. Like for example, if no one is standing on the weight machine, no object is placed on the weight machine, still the weight machine is giving me the reading 5. So it means this type of error is called systematic error. So if you will repeat the experiment 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, so this is the fault of instrument. So every time you will get the same type of error in your reading. So such type of reading will create the uncertainty in your result. So it means such type of errors are not removed by repeating the experiment. All right. So now how we will reduce these type of error? So first of all, these types of error are called zero error. Like for example, if I start the stopwatch, but stopwatch is showing me the reading 0.02 seconds. So it means that it is already showing me the 2 seconds time period. All right. It is already showing me the 2 seconds time period. And suppose that I'm unable to reset this stopwatch. Like I'm trying very hard, but I'm unable to reset this stopwatch. So what I will do, students, I will, like for example, I'm conducting an experiment and the final reading I'm getting from this stopwatch is 0.48. So this type of error is already present in the reading. So what I will do, I will subtract the zero point 0.2 from 0.48. So I will get the answer 0.6 seconds, which is the true answer. All right, students, 0.68. Oh, my mistake. Sorry. 0.48 minus 0.20. So when I will 0.02. Oh, sorry, beta. All right, students. So if after subtraction, I will get 0.46 seconds. All right. So it means these types of error can be reduced by adding or subtracting the error which is already present in the instrument. Such errors are called zero errors. All right. Is it clear to you, students? Did you understand that systematic errors can never be removed by repeating the experiment? We have to add or subtract the error from the calculated value so we can get the true value of the reading. All right, students. Now, I have discussed the systematic error with you. Now, let's have a look on random errors. Like you can see, they have added multiple examples here. These are the vernier scales. Vernier scales are not part of your syllabus, so I'm not going to discuss the vernier scale with you, students. But micrometer screw gauge is the part of your syllabus. So now you can see when I completely tighten this circular scale of the micrometer screw gauge, so it should, the circular scale 0 must align with the main scale 0. But now you can see after completely tightening the micrometer screw gauge circular scale, still these two zeros are not coinciding with each other. It is giving me the value below the zero. Can you see this, students? We are getting the value below the zero. This is the above reading. This is the below reading. So it means, students, if we are getting the such type of error, which is the instrumental error, all right, this is the instrumental error. It is showing the reading. It is already showing the reading when we have not placed any object with this instrument. So it means such type of errors are called zero error, and we are getting the reading below the zero. So such type of error is called negative zero error. All right. So if, like for example, if I'm getting any reading, so how will I remove this negative error? I will add this negative error. So we have to add the negative error in the calculated value, all right, and we have to subtract the positive error in the calculated value. Like for example, you can see when I completely tighten the micrometer screw gauge, when I have not placed any object in this instrument, so you can see we are getting the few millimeter reading, few micrometer reading, students. It is showing me, I think, 3 or 4 division. Circular scale reading is taken in division. All right. So it is showing me the reading above the zero. Above the zero. So above the zero means this type of error is called positive error. And this error can be reduced by subtracting this value from the main scale reading, from the actual reading. All right. Now, students, you can see this type of error, it's not a type of error. There is no zero error basically, because you can see the circular scale 0 is completely aligned with the main scale 0. So this instrument is perfect. There is no error. So we don't need to subtract, or we don't need to add the any type of reading in the final value. All right. So these are the instrumental error, and instrumental error can be reduced by adding or subtracting the errors which are present in the instrument by the final calculated value. Now, the second type of error which I discussed with you, these are the random errors. And there are many possibilities of random error. For example, human reaction time. Human reaction time is also added. Like, for example, if I'm performing the sound experiment in which this is observer A and this is observer B. Observer A is holding the starting pistol in his hand and observer B is holding the stopwatch. All right. So, as the observer A will fire the pistol, all right, so observer B will see the flash and he will start the stopwatch, but might be possible he's taking some time to react on this beta light or flashlight, so he will take few seconds, then he will start the stopwatch. So it means there is a few second gap. All right, like the human reaction time is zero point 0.6 seconds. All right, and when he will stop the stopwatch after listening the sound of the bang, so he will again take zero point 0.6 seconds, or might be possible zero point 0.8 second if he is responding very slowly. So it means zero point 0.6 before starting the stopwatch and zero point 0.6 after stopping the stopwatch. So it means total 1.2 second error is included in this data. All right, which will cause greater uncertainty in the reading. All right, student. So this type of error can be reduced by repeating the experiment. All right, students. Like, for example, this is a table in which we are measuring, we are taking any value. Like, for example, we are measuring the length and time. So, length reading is 10, 20, and 30. And the time student recorded from the stopwatch, the initial time was 4.8. Then he recorded the next time 8.2. Then he recorded the next time 102. Now, this is the anomalous reading. How the student can get the 102 reading? So, it means that the might be possible student has forgot to place the decimal or point here. So, it is creating a error. So, such type of errors can be reduced by repeating the experiment. Like, in every answer to whenever the student will ask you how we will remove the error, so every time a student will ask that repeat the experiment 3 times and then take the average. So let me tell you, beta, repeating experiment 3 times is only possible in random error. Like, for example, if I'm measuring the speed of sound in air, so suddenly when the wind will blow, so the speed of sound will change by the blowing of wind. So now, students, we have to repeat the experiment 3 times and take the average, because such type of experiments involve several types of error. So random error example I discussed with you, like human reaction time, and the second one, which is parallax error. Parallax error means when you will not place your line of sight or eye perpendicular to the meter rule. So it means such type of errors will create the slightly variation in the reading, in the true reading. So such type of errors are called parallax error. And how can we, like, this is the wrong position. All right, we always have to keep our eye perpendicular to the meter rule or perpendicular to the measuring scale. So you can see this is the true position where your eye is making the 90-degree angle. Sometimes examiner will ask you in the ATP paper to draw this diagram. As we have done many past papers, you all are familiar with this thing. All right, students. So it means whenever we want to measure the reading as accurate as possible, so it means we have to avoid the parallax error. All right, and we have to remove the suppress the human reaction time. All right, like, for example, the parallax error can be taken in ammeter or voltmeter as well if we are using the analog ammeter or voltmeter. So sometimes students are unable to see the correct division and they will not record the correct value. So it means there is a parallax error. So instead of using analog ammeter, we should use the digital instruments, digital ammeter, digital voltmeter. So what is the advantage of using digital ammeter or voltmeter? That it will not add the error. All right, the error can be removed or we will get the more accurate value. Are you understanding this thing, students? Yes, Vanya, your query is correct. I also saw the two different formulas for limit of experimental accuracy. But in A levels physics paper, examiner, I just went through the mark schemes of A level physics paper. All right, so the correct formula to find the limit of experimental accuracy is percentage uncertainty in the reading Students, you can see how we can find or check the error or percentage uncertainty in the reading. For example, the gravity value is 9.8 Newton per kg. All right. 9.81. This is the true value of gravity. But I am getting 9.79 Newton per kg. Acha, one thing, Vanya, I'm answering you, beta. Just give me 1 minute. Acha, one thing which I want to add here, student, like, for example, examiner has given you this reading that this is the true value of gravity 9.81. So you can see there are three significant figure in this reading. So if you are calculating the value of gravity with the help of any experiment, students, so make sure that you have to calculate the value in three significant figure. Like, for example, suppose that I am getting 9.7. So I have to place the zero here because the examiner has given you the reading in three significant figures, so you also have to write the value in three significant figures. All right, students, so make sure that the proper you have to write the proper reading in proper significant figure, whatever it is mentioned in the question. So now, students, this is the true value of gravity and this is the calculated value of gravity which I am getting. So if I want to check whether this value of gravity is correct or not within the limit of experimental accuracy, which is 10%. So how would I check? I will take the value the formula maximum value minus minimum value divided by maximum value multiply by 100. So I always ask you to use this formula because I found this formula in the mark scheme of A levels past papers. All right, students. So please use this formula. Sometimes some teachers are using the average value here. Am I right, Vania? Some teachers are using the average value here, but I will not recommend this formula, beta. Use the maximum minus minimum divided by maximum. So now we can calculate the percentage uncertainty and we can check whether our value is correct or not. So maximum value is 9.81, minimum value is 9.79 divided by 9.81 multiply by 100. So I will use my calculator now, students, to check whether these two values are correct according to the limit of experimental accuracy. 9.81 minus 9.79. All right, then divide by 9.81 multiply by 100. All right, so what we are getting? We are getting the answer 0.20%. All right, student, we are getting the error here 0.2%. So you can see this error is very small. All right, student, this error is very small. No, beta Vanya, use this formula. All right, use this formula only. All right, and you will get the correct answer. Okay, if you have any query, you can WhatsApp me. Okay, you can WhatsApp me the screenshot of your query. Okay, Vanya? All right, students. So you can see these two readings are experimentally correct because they are lying 10% within the limit of experimental accuracy. Any query, any question here, students? Are you understanding these things? All right. So I'm repeating, beta, random error can be reduced by repeating the experiment three times and then take the average. Acha, usually I found when I was checking my mock paper, I found that the usually students are unable to find the don't know the calculation of average. Like, for example, if I gave you the three readings of time, all right, and I'm finding you to calculate the average value of time. So you can see the first value of time is 23.45 seconds. Second value of time is 24.63 seconds. So you can see all the readings are given in four significant figures. All right. Okay, Amna. So all the readings are given in the four significant figure. अच्छा आप लोग समटाइम्स स्टूडेंट्स क्या करते हैं कि जैसे 24.6 आ रहा है ना, तो वो सिर्फ पहली वाली रीडिंग में फोर सिग्निफिकेंट फिगर लिखे, सेकंड वाली रीडिंग में खाली 24.6 लिख दिया. Inaccurate significant figures, insufficient significant figure. Examiner will write the remarks at the bottom of your paper. All right, student, make sure that you have to write the answer in proper or complete significant figures. All right. So now, student, what we have to do, we have to find the average of these three readings. So we will add the all these three values, and we will divide this value by number of values. So number of values are 3. So we will add all of them and divide it by 3. So we will get the average value. Okay. So now I am showing you that how we will find the average. 23.45 plus 24.63 plus 24.08. All right. And then we have to divide it by 3. Okay. So what we are getting? We are getting 24.053. So again, students, that all the values were in four significant figures. So we have to write the answer in four significant figures. All right. So the average value is 24.05 seconds. All right. Is it clear to you, students? अच्छा, usually in the pendulum experiment, beta, like the experiment is usually given for 10 oscillations or 20 oscillations. I discussed this thing with you, like the ammeters or voltmeters. These are the analog instruments, and when we are taking the reading from these analog instruments, so might be possible we can face the parallax error. All right, we can face. Acha, 1 minute, Abdul Rafi, we can face the parallax error. So instead of using the analog or digital voltmeter or analog ammeter, we will prefer to use the digital voltmeter or digital ammeter, all right, to remove the parallax error. But still, if we don't have such type of instrument, so what we will do, students, we will repeat the experiment 3 times with this instrument and then take the average. Acha, sometimes the examiner will ask you that we have connected the circuit, we have closed the switch, but ammeter is not giving us the reading. So sometimes, student, it happens with the ammeter that the ammeter needle will stuck at the 0. So we have to tap the ammeter. All right, sometimes we have to tap the ammeter, because sometimes ammeter or voltmeter needle stuck with on 0. All right, student. So these are the all possible errors which can be asked in your ATP exam. Abdul Rafi is asking, if we are getting 2.5 centimeter on ruler, what should we write? 2.3 or 2.5? Abdul Rafi, obviously we will write 2.5 centimeter, beta. Okay. Acha. Now, students, meter rule, measuring tape, these are the instrument which can cause the parallax error. Acha, measuring cylinder. All right, measuring cylinder. Acha, Abdul Rafi, if we have to write only one significant figure, so 2.5 is rounded off, so we will write the answer 3. Okay, we will write the answer 3. If we are asked to write only one significant figure, so 2.5 centimeter is rounded off, so we will write the answer 3. Okay. Acha, if we have 2.3 centimeter, Abdul Rafi, acha, please don't send me message in the private chat. Write the send message in group chat so everyone can see the query. All right. So if the reading is 2.3 centimeter, and we have to write the value only one significant figure, so we will write the 2 centimeter. Okay. All right. Well done, students. Now, students, measuring cylinder. Measuring cylinder is basically used to find the volume of liquid. And remember, beta, we have to read the lower meniscus of water. We have to read the lower meniscus of water. If you will read the upper meniscus, so it means you will not get the correct answer. All right. And remember, beta, there are chances of parallax error as well. So this is the measuring scale. This is the lower, 1 minute. This is the lower meniscus. So we have to keep our eye perpendicular to the this scale. So we will get the accurate reading. All right, we will get the accurate reading. Acha, one thing which I want to add here, that how to use set square. Mostly students do not understand what is the purpose of set square. So for example, students, like if I am performing an experiment in which I have to keep the meter rule in the vertical position. All right, this is a bench. All right, and I have to keep the meter rule in the vertical position like this, but I'm not sure that the meter rule is exactly vertical or not, because sometimes the bench is not smooth, sometimes the bench is tilted. So these are the all possible error which can deviate the reading. So how we will check whether the meter rule is exactly vertical or not? If it is not tilted, might be possible that the student has placed the meter rule slightly tilted. like this. So this can cause the inaccurate reading. So how we can check whether the meter rule is placed exactly in the vertical position or not? So we will use the two sets of squares. All right. So we will place the set of square at the right side of the meter rule, all right, like this. And we will place the another set of a square at the left side of the meter rule. And you can see if they both are having the same reading. So it means if they both are parallel, so it means that the meter rule is exactly placed vertical. It is not tilted. So we can measure the accurate reading. So remember, beta, whenever the examiner will give you the meter rule and he will ask you that how can we get the accurate reading from the meter rule, so make sure that we have to use the set of squares. All right, we have to use the set of squares to check whether the meter rule is vertical or not. Okay, so these type of questions can be asked in movement topic, in measurement topic. All right, so remember beta, whenever meter rule is given, we will use the set of squares to check the alignment of meter rule. All right. Acha, in the spring question, you can see the spring loops will not be added in if we are measuring the length of the spring. All right, students, I am repeating. Spring. Spring loops are not added. Spring loops are not added in measuring the length of the spring. Like you can see, this is the spring and I want to measure the length of the spring as accurately as possible. So what I will do, first of all, I will keep the meter rule close to this spring. But what is the problem? The problem is that suppose that the student has fixed this meter rule with the help of the clamp. All right, student has fixed this meter rule with the help of the clamp. But might be possible in tightening this clamp, the student has tilted the clamp. So I want to check, I want to ensure that whether the meter rule is properly vertical or not. Because if the meter rule is not vertical, so we will not get the accurate reading. Or, or one more thing, how we will check the meter rule is correct or vertical or not? So again, you have to write the answer. We will use the set of scores to check that whether the meter rule is vertical or not. Second thing, if you will not use the set of square, students, so obviously how you will get the accurate value of the length of the spring which you have to measure. All right. So now we will use the set of square. You can see we will use the set of square one here, all right, and one at this position to check the length of this spring. All right, so this set of square will help us to give you the accurate reading, because if you will directly use your eye without any instrument, so there are chances that instead of this line you will read this one or you will read this one, so it means it will not give us the accurate value. So to get the accurate value, we have to use a set of squares to check the length of the string. Is it clear to you, students? So these are the possible questions which can be asked in your exam, beta. Acha, digital instrument, I already told you that the digital instruments are used to avoid parallax error. All right. Acha, I want to discuss the oscillations with you, like pendulum oscillation. For example, if I gave you the pendulum, so this is the mean position of pendulum. All right. So if I want to find the time period of this pendulum, so remember beta, time period can never be found by one oscillation only, because one oscillation is usually very small, that is smaller than the human reaction time. Acha, let me tell you one more thing, student, that what is one oscillation? What usually students suppose that one oscillation means the object will move at the right side, then it will come back, so it is one oscillation. No, beta. Like for example, I'm starting the pendulum from this position. So what would happen? When I will release it, so the pendulum bob will move at the left side. Then it will come back to its original position. Now it is one oscillation. This is one oscillation. All right, students. So it means this is the maximum point. All right, this is the mean position. And again, this is the maximum point. So starting from the maximum point, and when the object will again come to the same position, that is one oscillation. So usually time period can never be measured for one oscillation. It is never measured for one oscillation because one oscillation time period is very small. So obviously, if one student is uh, holding the bob in his hand and he is leaving the bob, he is starting the oscillation of pendulum, and other student is holding the stopwatch in his hand. So obviously he needs some time to react on this situation. Then he will start the stopwatch. So it means the human reaction time, I already told you that that is 0.6 second. So it means this is the type of random error which is included in this reading. So it means we can obviously, if the pendulum time period is 0.4 second, you can see which is very small. So how we can measure this 0.6, 0.4 second, which is smaller than the human reaction time? So it means, students, we have to take at least we have to record the time period of at least 20 oscillation. Like you can see, we are recording the time period of 20 oscillation, first time, second time, third time. Why we are repeating the experiment, students? To reduce the random error. By repeating the experiment, that the variation or random error can be reduced, so the percentage uncertainty can be decreased. Then if I want to find the time period of one oscillation, or if I am performing the experiment 20 times, so what I will do, first I will find the average, then I will divide this average value by 20. So it means, student, okay, beta, Khatija, I'm repeating, beta. So it means, students, okay, Vania. So it means, students, we have to divide it by 20. So by dividing that 20, we will get the time period of one oscillation. Acha, remember, students, when we will take the large range of data, when we will take the large range of data, so there are very less chances of error. All right. But if you will take the very small range of data, so it means there are more chances of error. Okay. So okay, Vanya. So now, students, how we will use the set of squares? Let me show you the diagram again. You can see the set of squares are used to check whether the meter rule is vertical or horizontal. All right. Like for example, in any experiment, I have clamped the meter rule in the horizontal position. This is the meter rule. All right. And this is the stand. All right, we have clamped the meter rule with the help of this stand. But I'm not sure that whether the meter rule is tilted or it is exactly horizontal or not, because sometimes the meter rule become tilted like this. So if I want to check whether the meter rule is perfectly placed in the horizontal position, so what I will do, I will use one set of square at this position. I will use the another set of square at this position. If these set of squares are exactly aligned with this meter rule, so it means now we can say the meter rule is completely placed at horizontal position. It is exactly horizontal. Similarly, if we want to check whether this meter rule, which is in the vertical position, it is exactly vertical or not, so it means, students, we will use a set of square. We will place one set of square at the right of the meter rule, or we will place the one set of square very close to the left of the meter rule. If they are properly aligned with the meter rule, so it means that the meter rule is perfectly 90-degree. Acha, we can use the plumb line method as well. All right, you have learned the plumb line method in the turning effect of forces chapter. So usually the engineers use the split level or the plumb line to check whether the meter rule is vertical or not. So what we will do, students, we will hang one plumb line with this thread. All right. If the plumb line is exactly vertical, so it means that the meter rule is placed at 90-degree. But suppose that this is a bench and the student has not fixed the meter rule in the correct position. So if I will place the plumb line here and if I will hang the plumb line, so it means the plumb line, you can see it's not exactly at the middle of this meter rule. So it means this meter rule is not perfectly at the 90-degree angle. So we can use the plumb line, we can use the split level as well. Usually the engineers use the split level. All right, but I will urge you to write this set of square. That is the easiest method. That if the examiner will ask you that how can we check whether the meter rule is vertical or horizontal, just write the answer. We will use the set of square to check whether the meter rule is vertical or horizontal. All right, student. Similarly, we can use the set of square to measure the length and stretch length of the spring. And remember, beta, we will not include the loops in the reading of the unstretched length. So we have to keep one set square at this position, and we have to keep one set square at this position, so we can get the reading more accurate. We can get the reading more accurate. Is it clear to you, students? I am discussing all the tips which can be asked in your exam. Vanya beta, I will reply you on private. Okay. Acha, okay. How can we find the limit of experimental accuracy? Students are asking this question. Just give me 1 minute, students. Let me tell you how we can find the limit of experimental accuracy. So, suppose that students, I am getting that time period 24.35 second. This is the calculated value which I am getting. This is the calculated value. All right. But the true value for the time period of this experiment is 24.40 seconds. So you can see here I wrote four significant figures. Here I wrote four significant figures. So make sure that the student number of significant figures should be proper. All right. So make sure that the number of significant figures should not be insufficient. All right. So this is the true value. If I ask you to find the percentage uncertainty in these two values, so how we will find the percentage uncertainty, beta? Maximum value minus minimum value divided by maximum value multiply by 100. So maximum value in this reading is the true value, that is 24.40. Minimum value is 24.35 divided by maximum values again 24.40 multiply by 100. All right. So now let me use the calculator here. So 24.40 minus 24.35, all right, divided by 24.40 multiply by 100. All right, so what we are getting? We are getting 0.20% error. 0.20% error. So you can see, beta, this error value is very small. So it means this error value is very small, students. So it means these two values are accurate within the limit of experimental accuracy. All right, so limit of experimental accuracy can be asked in light question, all right, in spring question. Okay, students, so these two topics are very important. Acha, let me tell you one thing, that which chapters light topic is very important. All right, I will send you this file. In this file, you will find the past paper questions related to light, thermal physics. These topics are very important because you can see we are solving past papers, and we can see every year we will find one temperature question, light, thermal physics, circuits. So these three topics are very important. And let me tell you again, you don't need to memorize any formula for ATP paper. Don't need to waste your time in memorizing formulas. All the formulas will be given in your exam paper. All right, just you have to know the basic thing, that how to find the average. Okay, students. And the one question which can be asked, that is could be related to spring measurement density, like this. All right, students. Now let me discuss with you the graph. Graphs are very important. Acha, this is the same thing which I discussed with you about the oscillation. Okay, graphs are very important because what I found, that mostly student made mistake